Hey everybody, I'm Shannon Sommerville with your 5 best player prop bets for college football week 1. We did give out some props earlier this week on Thursday. We were 1 of 3. Unfortunately, we took 2 of the Florida running backs over on their rushing yards, and the Florida offense was just abysmal. Florida in general was just awful against Utah. It was an abysmal game. So I personally was just struggling myself with trying to get it on TV because I was a Spectrum customer until last night, and I canceled my Spectrum because of that game. For those of you that don't know and aren't familiar, Disney took away all the channels from Spectrum, so everybody that had Spectrum wasn't able to see it. If you were a Florida fan, that's probably a good thing. That was atrocious, but we're going to try to get back some of that money here this weekend. I've got really good picks for you. They are available if you're not in a state that's got legalized sports betting. You can check out the Underdog Fantasy or PrizePicks app. If you don't have those, download them. Use the promo code LineStar, and you can get up to $100 of your deposit match, so make sure to take advantage of that deal. Also, the tool that I'm using to find the best value in the prop market is the Props AI tool, and that is available on the LineStar app. So make sure to check it out, linestarapp.com. Take it out for a test spin. We are offering free 3-day trials on the app, so you can take advantage of that as well. All right, let's get into it. I have one pick from the Friday night game, so you're going to want to get that in right away. And then the rest are all going to be Saturday's games. The first one that I'm looking at is Louisville wide receiver Jamari Thrash, higher than 81.5 receiving yards. Now, Jamari Thrash is a transfer from Georgia State. He had over 130 yards each of his last 3 games in 2022. He comes over to Louisville as a transfer and now going to be playing for Jeff Brom, who comes from Purdue, and where he has boosted a lot of wide receiver careers in the past. Players like David Bell, who had 2 1,000-yard years. Then Charlie Jones had over 1,300 yards last season, broke the single-season receiving record at Purdue. He's also got an experienced senior quarterback back there in Jake Plummer, who will be tossing him the ball. He is going up against a tough Georgia Tech secondary. However, we do have a little of a revenge component in this one as well, if you're into that sort of thing. So Jamari Thrash grew up in and around Atlanta, and while he was kind of recruited a little bit by Georgia Tech, there were more, inquiries into his abilities. He didn't get a scholarship from them. So he went to Georgia State and then eventually transferred to Louisville. I guess wasn't interested in transferring to Georgia Tech after they weren't interested in him. So now he gets to perform on this big stage on Friday night in Georgia Tech. So could be a little revenge factor there as well. Regardless of whether there is a revenge factor or not, I like Thrash. And higher 81.5 receiving yards. I think that's a good line for him. And I think he could have a monster season this year. Look out for his name. And maybe consider taking the over here today. For my next 2 picks, I'm going to the Battle of the Carolinas. UNC, ranked 20th in the nation, taking on South Carolina from the SEC. And this is playing at a neutral site at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. I love the quarterbacks here. And specifically, first, we're going to take UNC quarterback Drake May, higher than 31.5 rushing yards. May is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation. He averaged over 50 rushing yards per game last year, went over that total 11 of 14 games, and now he's going up against a South Carolina defense that, quite frankly, wasn't that good in 2022. In fact, they were pretty banged up, specifically the run defense. They had a lot of injuries, and their edge rushers only just recently recovered from season-ending injuries last year. There's a lot of question marks there. I expect Drake May to take advantage. And we're going to take advantage of the prop market here and go over 31.5 rushing yards. On the other side of that matchup, don't sleep on South Carolina Gamecocks quarterback Spencer Rattler. I'm taking Rattler over 247.5 passing yards in this one. Now, Rattler only had 233 passing yards per game last season. However, he's going up against a North Carolina defense that, quite frankly, last year was not good. They allowed opposing quarterbacks 274.9 passing yards per game. And they didn't get any better. In fact, last season, they were one of the worst in the nation on defense. They ranked 102 out of 131 FBS teams. And they lost their top 2 cornerbacks to the transfer portal, so didn't get much better there. LineStar's projection for Rattler is 282.2 passing yards in this game, so a significant edge according to our projections. Rattler higher than 247.5 passing yards. From one SC quarterback to another, we're going to the Heisman frontrunner Caleb Williams, although we're going lower than 297.5 passing yards in this one. Not because we don't think Caleb Williams has the ability. He certainly does. He's the Heisman frontrunner for a reason. However, we just aren't really sure how much he's going to play because USC is favored by 38.5 points in this one. So it's unclear how far into the game he will actually play and if he'll be able to accumulate that many yards. LineStar's projection is 258.2 passing yards, so we're just going to take the under here. Lastly, I'm going to the Tennessee-Virginia game, and I'm taking Tennessee senior wide receiver Brew McCoy higher than 57.5 receiving yards. McCoy averaged 55.5 receiving yards per game in 2022 and even had some triple-digit games as well. The offense as a whole last year was firing on all cylinders. They led the nation in yards per game. I don't expect a huge drop-off this season, even though they're without their quarterback from last year, Hendon Hooker, who now plays for the Detroit Lions. So it'll be backup Joe Milton, and I don't expect a huge drop-off. He is an absolute cannon, and I think the Tennessee Volunteers will be picking apart the Virginia Cavaliers secondary in this one. They have a lot of question marks on defense. Lost their all-ACC cornerback duo. One transferred, one went to the NFL draft. I just think that secondary is going to be picked apart by Milton and McCoy. Sounds like a personal injury law firm that'll get your claim settled and get you money. I think it's also a tandem that will get us money in the prop department. So I'm taking Brew McCoy higher than 57.5 receiving yards. So those are my picks for week 1 in college football. Good luck if you are playing. If you're tailing, make sure to tail us on Underdog Fantasy and PrizePicks. Again, use that promo code LineStar if you don't have those apps. It's a great way to place those bets, especially if you're in a state where sports betting is not legal. It is a great alternative, so make sure to check that out, see if that's available in your state. And as always, bet responsibly. And check out the LineStar app. It's a tool that will help you dominate in daily fantasy and in the prop betting market. Wishing you the best of luck. Great to have football back in action. It is here. Good luck. We'll see you guys next week.